Star Wars 7x7 episode 2164. So over the past few days there have been some announcements in Star Wars storytelling, and I wanted to share some of those with you, collect them all here, so let's do a Star Wars news update. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So, we've got a lot of news to talk about. There have been delays in various things, and even one thing where it was sped up, actually. So, let's talk about the delays first, because it starts with Jedi Temple Challenge, the kids game show that's being hosted by Ahmed Best. That has been pushed just 1 week. It was supposed to debut this past week, but now it is going to debut on Wednesday, June 10th. And I, for one, and I'm not the only one, but I am absolutely thrilled that Ahmed Best is back in the fold and doing some fun Star Wars stuff. He is a beautiful human being, so I'm really looking forward to that. On the delays side also, the High Republic Publishing Initiative has announced that due to general marketplace delays, they are postponing the release of the 3 books and the 2 comics that are part of this launch. So that was supposed to happen starting in August, and now it has been pushed until January 5th of 2021 for Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi and Justina Ireland's A Test of Courage. And just to refresh you, Soule's Light of the Jedi is the adult novel, Justina Ireland's A Test of Courage is the middle grade novel, and additionally Claudia Gray's novel, which is the YA novel Into the Dark, that has been pushed out a little bit further until February 2nd of 2021. Now, that at least we have dates for. Unfortunately, the Marvel comics and the IDW comics, those have been delayed, but with no date at this point. So that's unfortunate, to say the least. Daniel Jose Older and Cavan Scott are working on those particular titles, but we don't know anything about when they will be coming as of yet. And Michael Siglain, who is the creative director for Lucasfilm Publishing, says that we will be hearing more from those 5 authors this summer, and we've been instructed to ask them about a few things, including the Hero of Hetzal, Hetzal, the twins, and twins is lowercase, so I don't know, what twins, maybe they're not as famous necessarily in universe per se, but still characters that we might want to know about, or I'm assuming characters. The Blade of Bardotta, Bardotta, and there had been some discussion about a new lightsaber being introduced through the High Republic. That was in a lightsaber guide, a book description about a new guide to lightsabers that's coming out, and they're supposed to be introducing us to a new lightsaber featured in the High Republic, so I'm wondering if this Blade of Bardotta has anything to do with that. There's also a reference to the Storms, and the Storms is title cased, and so that makes you think that it's a specific thing. And also to the Staros and Santeca clans. And, Santeca, the one that jumps out is Lor Santeca, of course. That would be the character played by Max von Sydow in The Force Awakens, and who was also featured a bit in the Poe Dameron comic series. But Staros also has some Star Wars history as well, particularly with the character of Son of Staros, who was married, quote-unquote, for a time to Han Solo. And I say quote-unquote because we found out that that was something that they did just to, fool somebody for a job, right? It was a con that they were putting on, but still, the fact that the Staros name is being brought up, and it's also being brought up in context for hundreds of years before the events of the original trilogy / prequel trilogy era, well, that's kind of exciting. Now, not everything in publishing is a story of things moving backward. In fact, one of them is moving forward. The new Thrawn novel, the first one in the new trilogy, that is going to come out on September 1st now, so it has moved forward. And September 1st, if I'm doing my math right, is a Tuesday, which is when these releases typically tend to be, and is then slated for the Tuesday after Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, which at this point we still have no word about whether Celebration Anaheim is still definitely on. I mean, it's definitely on as far as we know, but whether it will absolutely stay on, whether there's another announcement coming, we don't yet know. Now, moving to the rumor and speculation side of the house, we've talked about how animation is supposed to have something coming up in the fall, and at the moment it is alleged to be potentially a Rebels sequel. We'll see if that actually is what it is, but sort of related to that, I've been seeing reports, and I have not heard from the source of a source that has reached out to me on past things about any of this, so we'll have to see how this stuff pans out. But there have been 3 particular characters that have been mentioned as about to appear in Star Wars casting announcements, and it hasn't happened yet, so we'll see. But the 3 characters that have been rumored are Sabine Wren from Star Wars Rebels, of course, and Ezra Bridger from Star Wars Rebels, and also Grand Admiral Thrawn from the novels and later from Star Wars Rebels. Some of the things that are being discussed, though, are conflicting in that regard. Like, I've heard the Sabine rumor as connected to season 2 of The Mandalorian, for example. I have heard the Ezra Bridger rumor connected to his own live action series, and the same thing with Grand Admiral Thrawn. That ties into how Star Wars Rebels ended, of course, with Thrawn and Ezra being jumped off into the unknown. I'm saying the unknown, not the unknown regions, but just who knows where in hyperspace with the Purrgil, because they just, grabbed everything and took off at the end of that season, at the end of that series. And then, of course, in the epilogue of Rebels, we have Ahsoka arriving on Lothal and getting Sabine for the 2 of them to go pick up the search for Ezra and Thrawn, because in the intervening year and change, I think it's about 2 ABY that Rebels ends, not the epilogue part, right? But the actual Battle of Yavin hasn't happened yet, and when the epilogue happens, the Empire has already fallen, and so we've got 2 years difference that Thrawn and Ezra haven't been heard from. So it is really fascinating to be hearing casting rumors about these 4 characters, about Ahsoka, about Sabine, about Ezra, and about Thrawn, considering how Rebels ended. And it does make you wonder whether some of this is, potentially wish fulfillment and potentially, trying to line things up in a certain fashion just based on the storytelling that's already happened, or whether this could actually be all the pieces falling into place to follow up on that story once and for all. And that's what I've got for you on the Star Wars storytelling news front right now. And that is going to do it for this episode of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for it. Please keep yourselves, your loved ones, and your communities safe and strong and healthy. And may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.